All right. Happy Friday, I guess.
Happy Friday.
James Ham's over there. Joe Brazil's over here. I'm Kyle. And we're hanging out with you until noon. Everybody listening on ESPN 1320 AM. Hello. Good morning. Hope you're driving safe around Sacramento. And when you are done driving, make sure to tap into the free Odyssey app to continue listening to the show, or jump on YouTube or Twitch, YouTube TV/ESPN 1320. YouTube.com/ESPN 1320, Twitch.tv/ESPN 1320. If you'd like to join the program, call the Oak Grove Kia Talk line 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. It's another day to sound off, man. Bulls 128, Kings 116. I don't think myself so important that I think I have an impact on outcomes of NBA games.
Okay.
But the Kings went up 19 points. It was 59-40. They were coming off a win against the Cavaliers. They and the Bulls were on the second night of a back-to-back. The Kings are trying to push their way up the Western Conference standings. The Bulls are like begrudgingly the 9 seed.
Yeah.
So I went, hey, this might be a halftime game. I'd be out of here at half.
Oh, I forgot about that. I do blame you now.
Yeah, because I'm sitting, but yeah, they're up 17. Malik Monk hits the layup with like 3:50 left, and you're going, all right. And I said, if they get it below 15 points by the half, I'm sticking around.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bulls go on a run that cuts the lead to 9. And here's what the Kings offense did after Malik Monk's layup put them up 59-40. DeMar DeRozan missed 3. DeMar DeRozan turnover. Keegan Murray travel. DeMar DeRozan 2 free throws. Trey Lyles missed 3. Keegan Murray made 3. DeMar DeRozan missed 3. DeMar DeRozan missed 12-footer. Kings go into the half up 64-55, and the wheels came off entirely. It was gross.
They let off the gas at the end of the second quarter so badly. And again, I get it. DeMar DeRozan had 25,000 points lined up. He needed 17 points to get to 25,000 for his career.
Mm-hmm.
Only the 27th player in NBA history to do that. And then it felt like he wanted all 17 before half. He had a smile on his face. It looked like the Bulls were kind of just chilling and hanging out while they were down a bunch, and he going to let him go ahead and shoot his shots.
Yep. But
then it just got ridiculous. Like those 2 misses, one of them was from...
The three-pointer was insane.
Well, the three-pointer, I think it hit the side of the backboard.
It did.
The other one was behind the backboard, shot over the top, the 12-footer.
A contested falling out of bounds at the baseline 12-footer.
I don't even know. It was just, they just gave away momentum. They gave it away.
They're not good enough to do that.
No.
Like that's the problem here.
Well, and it was disrespectful. And when you're disrespectful, bad things happen to you.
Yeah.
When you try to, trick off a game and just make it about you and not about the actual winning of a game that is incredibly important for your team, for your franchise, for your head coach, for everybody involved. It's an incredibly important game, even though it's a bad team you're playing. You want to just go walk out there and throw your jersey on the ground and act like you're just going to win the game, but then also just like you have a big lead and just give it away.
But that's what's so baffling is they didn't just throw their jerseys on the ground.
They were good.
They came out and played really freaking well. They had 59 points with 3:51 to go in the first half.
Yeah.
Like they were cruising. They were up 19. And then they went, cool, we'll just leave our jerseys here.
It's just wild, man.
And honestly, like, I don't even want to say that because there are games, the Pacers game earlier this year at Golden One Center, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Warriors game, first game out of the break, was we're going to throw our jerseys on the court.
Oh yeah, we got this.
We're good. We're all set. And I don't think they played with the appropriate force. Last night, I never got the idea like, oh, they're not trying. I think they got sloppy. I definitely think they got lazy defensively.
Oh yeah. They got overconfident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when Malik Monk comes into the press conference and immediately is just like, yeah, we let off the gas at the end of the second quarter. Yo, what?
Hey, man, I don't know if it was you or it was Sean, but someone said, I was sitting right in between you two. One of you said, they've hit 11 threes in the first quarter and they're only up by 5.
Yes.
That's probably not a good sign.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. That's exactly they built a lead based off Malik Monk going, I think it was 5 of 6 in the first quarter.
Yeah, he started 5 of 5. But yeah,
4 missed one, hit one. And then Trey Lyles started 4 for 4. So they had 11 threes, but 9 of them came from 2 players. Neither one of them ever hit a 3 again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that was the issue last night. And when we say they let off the gas,
yeah,
this is the larger overarching problem with the Kings. And we're talking about DeMar DeRozan because he led the team in shots last night. But there's a bigger problem here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is roster wide. This is team wide. Where when a game is slipping away like that, they don't have anyone else who's like, hey, I'm going to get a big block. I'm going to get a big rebound. I'm going to get a steal. I'm going to get us an easy bucket. I'm going to get to the free throw line. I'm going to staunch the bleeding a little bit. Nobody does that. It's like everybody stands around and it's like Malik or DeMar, or it should be Zach LaVine. We'll talk about Zach LaVine in a bit. Maybe.
We could just act like he doesn't exist.
Well, golly. But we got it's Keegan and Devin Carter and Trey Lyles and Keon Ellis is like, all right, well, you guys go do that. Like, you guys get us back in this. And that's I think kind of the fundamental problem. Like, Doug Christie keeps coming into these pressers after games and going, that's not us. And it's like, but Doug, it is. You don't want it to be. That's not the culture you're trying to establish.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you are. And whether that is a mindset thing, whether that's a roster construction thing, whether that is a general unhappiness with the way the season is gone thing, I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in these guys' heads. I don't know. But the fact that Doug Christie has now, I think 3 times since the All-Star break, has come out of a game and gone, that's not us. Like, it is. It's you. Like, this is what, and this is why, even after yesterday, even after an awesome win over the Cavaliers, this does not change it. That was a great game. The Kings played about as well as they have at any point in the last 3 years. They were sensational. But last night is why you and I, and a lot of Kings fans,
a
lot of people go, okay, that's nice, but
I think that
because they're still capable of this.
When you're around at this point, right? Like, if you're covering the team, like if you're a fan that's watching the team, I think everybody sees where this is going, right? Like, we all know how this is going. This season, wins, losses, play-in, non-play-in, playoff, non-playoff. We all kind of see what's happening. I think there are a lot of people who are like, okay, like, can we just hit the fast forward button to April 20th? Because it's probably going to be over by April 20th. If it's not over by April 20th, can we just fast forward to April 25th? Because it'll be over by then. I think that's what so many people now, you just feel like there's a lot that's going to happen with this team in this offseason. And whether it's players, whether it's coaches, whether it's front office, whatever. And it's almost like we're more intrigued by what's going to happen next.
Sure.
But then by anything that's left on the court, because we know who they are.
Yes.
And I'll say this in Doug's defense. And this isn't because, we're friends. It's not Doug. When he says this isn't us, that's not Doug Christie, because Doug Christie was a flat out baller.
Yeah.
He showed up and he gave 100% every single game he played in, especially when he was with the Sacramento Kings. We got to see that on display.
Sure.
So it's really hard for somebody who that's who he is. And then when you get to your team, that's not who your team is. You're trying to instill your personality into a team. And that's your job as a coach. And I think he's done a really good job of bringing this thing back around. And
I would
again,
agree.
when he took over, there are 5 games under 500. The
Mhm.
fact that they're a game over 500 right now, under 500, now they're a game over 500.
Sure.
They're battling, they're fighting, they are in it. They had a great win the night before. But all of that, it can, you can't make somebody else want it like you do.
Yes. There's only so many levers you can pull with this team.
Yeah.
We've said it. We have said this all year. Pre-trade deadline, pre-Mike Brown being fired, pre or post-trade deadline, hasn't mattered. Like they just kind of have the same problem. And it's not a Doug Christie thing. Like I said, this is not who Doug wants them to be, but this is who they are.
Yeah.
This is what this collection of players is. They are going to beat the Cavs one night, and then they're going to lose to the Bulls the next.
Both teams playing on the second night of a back-to-back. There are no excuses.
This is
you had a 19-point lead.
This is when we were talking to Damian during the handoff a couple days ago. He said every game with this team, you just have to go game by game. And I agree with that. But you do that when the team is like, meh, because you don't know what you're going to get on a nightly basis.
Yeah.
When consistency is your problem, I joke about this with some of my friends about the 49ers all the time. People go, God, they're just inconsistent. If they were more consistent, once they're more consistent, they'll start winning. Like, no, that just means you're not very good.
Yeah.
Or it's not as good as you think they should be. If you're consistently inconsistent, you're just like this is. And it's not very good.
And if you're a game over 500 after game 69,
nice,
you're a 500 basketball team. That's just it.
And the reason we love sports and the reason you play games is because James and I can't sit here and go, James and I and Joe can't sit here and go, I'll remember someday, dude. We've done this show for so long without you in here.
It's okay.
I promise. I just want you to know
I appreciate
that I love and appreciate you.
It's not you, it's us.
Yeah,
okay,
no, it's not even us. It's me.
I'm here too. And I'm here and I agree and I feel the same way. So
Kyle, just so you know, I've never reset once and said Joe's here too.
That's true.
Not once.
That's true.
No, so it's like the reason we love sports and is we don't know what's going to happen. If we knew the outcomes that there would be no point to this. It would not be fun. So if you want to hold on to this idea, like, man, they beat the Cavaliers, they beat Boston in Boston earlier this year. Domas is out. Once you get Domas back, maybe if you want to cling to that, like, cool, like go for it, because maybe that's the point of all of this. Is like everything's just kind of on the table. They might, what do they have left? 13 games?
15. No, 13.
13 games?
Man, the season's going away fast.
We're good. We're fine.
So we got 3 in the next 4 nights after today.
So they have 13 games left, and maybe they go 9-4. And they're hot going into the play-in, and like, who knows? But everything we know about this team was personified in the last 2 nights. Some nights you're going to beat the Cavs and you're going to look like world beaters. And we're going to come in here and go, all right, well, hey, now you get the Bulls, and then can you take one from Milwaukee or Boston or OKC, and now you go on this little road trip. Okay, hey, here we go.
Yeah. You pick up the Blazers win. Next thing, even if you lost the 3 games, you would have been 4-3 on the homestand.
Right.
Now you have to steal a game from either the Bucks, the Thunder, or the Celtics.
Yep.
And then you have to take care of business against a Blazers team that plays hard and doesn't
and is trying
and is super close to you in the bottom of the standings.
Yes.
There's a possibility that they
Are they a game and a half back now?
I don't know what they are, but it's not a game and a half out of the 10th.
Yeah.
Either way, it's not good.
Let me 2 games back at 10.
Okay.
4. They're well clear of the Kings. They're 4.5 back at Sacramento. But yeah, man, they are in. Like you and I talked about this last night. They're in the worst spot you can be in. They are neither a title contender and they're probably not a playoff team, but nor are they in super tank mode. Okay, let's look toward the future. They're just stuck in the middle.
Oh yeah.
And that's
stuck in the middle with no picks.
Yeah, man.
This season.
Yeah. If it keeps kind of going this direction.
Well, that
so again, this is not, and there's a ton to dig into, and we will. This is not doom and gloom. Oh my God, they're going to lose the rest of their games. This is, man, they had a chance to really pick up some momentum last night, and they face planted and blew a 19-point lead in the process.
Yeah,
and lost by 12.
And there's so many other issues hiding within this game.
There really are. And we're going to dig into those. The Kevin Huerter aspect, the Zach LaVine aspect, DeMar DeRozan, Devin Carter, Trey Lyles. There's a lot happened last night at Golden One Center. We're going to dive into all of that here in the next couple hours. He's James Ham. That's Joe Brazil. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and we're hanging out with you until noon right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center.
Rich, the Kings pick is top 12 protected. Right now, they're the 14th pick in the lottery. So no, chances are they will not have their first round pick this year.
We will do that when at 10:45.
Man, here's the problem too. The Kings, face this crazy 3 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
In front of them. And then when they get done with that, they get the Blazers. Right now they're up 4 games on the Blazers, 4.5 games, right? But if they lose all 3 of those games and they go into that Blazers game, and somehow the Blazers have knocked off, they have the Nuggets, the Celtics, and the Cavs. So that's probably not going to happen. But there is a possibility that if they just catch lightning in a bottle and somehow win 3 and you lose 3, that all of a sudden they're a game and a half out when they play you next week.
Man.
And then they finish. They finish with the Knicks, the Hawks, the Raptors. So that's a gimme. The Bulls, that should be a gimme. The Spurs, the Jazz, the Warriors, and the Lakers in the last 2 games of the season. But it's also possible that the Warriors and Lakers have tied up with who they are in the standings by that point, and they're going to rest their stars. So that team can make a run. It's just so crazy that you go from one extreme to the next with this team all the time, where you beat one, literally a 56-12 team. You beat one night, and then the next night you lose to a bad team, and you have a 19-point lead, and you're both on the second night of the back-to-back.
Man. I think the worst part was that 2 minutes into the second half, you just kind of knew, they're just not getting this game back. They're not pulling their heads out.
Steph has underwent an MRI and suffered a pelvic contusion, no structural damage. He will not travel with the team to Atlanta this morning and will not play in tomorrow's game against the Hawks. He will reevaluate it on Monday.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Would have been kind of wild if he didn't travel to Atlanta with the team and then played against the Hawks.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you guys have an answer as to why? Buddy, if we did, be not doing this. We'll talk about that for sure.
Shout out Jim again, though. Cool profile picture.
Yeah, Jim's a legend. I don't know. We'll get to this too. Now we'll get to that.
Good morning, Drew.
Drew down.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Kings lose to the Bulls last night. One of the underlying issues in last night's game and really the last few games, and the most glaring aspect of what happened on the court at Golden One Center last night, is Zach LaVine going 2 of 9 from the field in 33 minutes. He finished with 8 points, 5 assists, a steal, and a rebound.
Yeah.
A couple turnovers, 1 of 6 from beyond the arc. Our guy Jim Garfinkel in the chatty house asked us at the break, hey, do you know what's going on? You know why he's not shooting? Because over his last 5 games, he's averaging fewer than 10 shot attempts a game. Zach LaVine, who was brought here as this dynamic offensive weapon, and wow, man, he's better offensively than De'Aaron Fox. He's the most efficient guard in the league. I want to be careful here because I don't know what Zach LaVine is going through or dealing with. He missed a game for personal reasons. So it could be that his mind is elsewhere right now, and if that's the case, wishing the best for him and whatever he has going on. From a basketball standpoint, though, this is not. If Zach LaVine's going to shoot it fewer than 10 times a game, what's he doing on the floor? He's not doing. He does. I don't understand.
Yeah, this is one of the strangest things that I've seen. So, like, I mean, we can tie it a little bit to some of the other like issues that the Kings have had over the last 2 years, right? Keegan Murray not getting enough shots. You can look at Kevin Huerter, who now plays for the Bulls, how his career just like spins out of control and like gone. But when you make $43 million, there is expectations that you will perform at a certain level. And it's not that. I think the alarming thing is this: Zach LaVine is not playing poorly on the court when he's out there. Defensively, he isn't. I mean, he had a moment or two last night where he was solid defensively, but overall, he's not a great defender. We all know that. Like,
he falls asleep off the ball a lot.
All the time. Yeah. And so I'm not going to like rehash what he is as a defensive player, but as an offensive player, he's averaging over his last 5 games, 9.8 shot attempts per game. And the crazy thing is he's hitting 53.1% from the field and 50% from 3. So by his standards, because I'm going off his standards, because I asked him this question directly a couple of like last week. Oh, I'm doing just fine. I'm, shooting over 50% from the field and 50% from 3. The 16.6 points per game, man, that's just not enough. Like whatever's happening, the 9.8, this guy averaged 17 attempts per game with the Bulls. He gets to Sacramento and he was averaging, right around like 15.8, something like that. And then all of a sudden he's fallen off the face of the earth with his shot attempts. And I just don't know what to make of it. I asked Doug Christie about it last night. And, I think even that in itself was a problem because his explanation is kind of the same explanation that we've heard from about Keegan Murray over the last couple of years.
Which can't happen.
Well, no, it can't happen. I don't know what they have to do. Zach LaVine probably just needs to take the ball like on the inbounds and bring it up the court every single time now. Like, just have him initiate the offense so he's part of it. Don't let him go stand in the corner because that's what they've been doing. Is he somehow ends up in the corner, like Keegan ends up in the corner, and then unfortunately for Keegan and unfortunately for Zach LaVine, the Kings, especially without Domantas Sabonis on the court, are a very, very selfish team. They're very offensively, they're a very, very selfish team who. I agree with Doug. Sometimes it is about progressions. you're not getting to the second and third and fourth progression in your reads. And that's when the guys in the corner start to get those wide open looks.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the reason why the offense is sputtered, because they're not getting to those progressions. And so I understand that's a problem with Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine is not Keegan Murray. He has the opportunity to go get the ball anytime he wants, and everybody will get out of the way. He's Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm.
They all look at him, know he's the best scorer on the team, except for DeMar. He probably doesn't look at him and say that's the best scorer on the team. But everyone else is like, yeah. And that is fine, because DeMar DeRozan has 25,000 points for his career, and he's top 27 all time in NBA scoring.
Congrats to DeMar DeRozan, by the way.
Yeah. And for that matter, DeMar DeRozan, when it's all said and done, I mean, he's got another 2 years left, in the league probably. He's going to be, I don't know, top 13, top 14.
Something like that.
Yeah, the leading scorers.
Comfortably top 20.
Yeah, there's a lot of players that are around 26,000 points. And that's where he's, he'll get to 26,000 with no problem.
A key aspect of this is something you just mentioned. He's not playing poorly. Like it's not, oh man, Zach, and he didn't shoot it well last night, to be clear. But it's not, man, Zach LaVine isn't playing well right now. What's wrong with Zach LaVine? It's just Zach LaVine is just not participating.
Yes.
And I don't understand it. This is not Keegan Murray, great example. Doug Christie's explanation last night was they're not going through progressions, and so you don't always want to look for the pocket pass. And if we touch the paint and spray it, there he is. Like, I'm sorry, what? He hasn't. What?
Yeah.
Zach LaVine, who you traded De'Aaron Fox for, was the centerpiece of that deal and figures to be the centerpiece of your franchise moving forward, is getting shots up at the whim of DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk? That's what we're doing here? Because if that's the case, if that's what this is going to be, if this is the game plan, if this is, hey, Zach's going to hang out in the corner, he's going to cut, and hopefully we find him, then ship him out. Go get something for him that fits better in that role. Because you're paying him $43 million. I've been told you can't take him off the court to start Keon Ellis. We've established that. Fine. Okay. If he's going to stand in the corner and his shots are going to come at the whim of his teammates, I don't want him. Because that's not maximizing what he is. You're wasting that spot. You're wasting that money by just making him hey, you got to get through progressions to get to Zach LaVine. Get through progressions to get to Zach LaVine? Guy who's almost a 50, 40, 90 guy?
Yeah. Who
has never had trouble getting shots in his life? That does not track to me. That doesn't make sense. I do not accept that explanation.
Okay, so here's the problem that they have. It's that without Domantas Sabonis on the court, no one is a true natural playmaker for others. They just aren't. And that's a problem. Like when you've got Malik Monk as your primary point guard. And look, I think Malik will get better and better. He is so good in the pick and roll, but he's not good at the other passes. He's not good at drawing and kicking to the corner. He's not good at drawing and kicking the skip pass to the guy on the elbow. He's not good at the other passes yet, or at least he hasn't developed that way. So without a natural hub, which is Domantas Sabonis, then you're kind of stuck. Even when it comes to DeRozan passes when it's the last possible option for him. And a lot of times when he does pass, there's 2 or 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Hey man, here it is, hot potato. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So, again, DeMar picks up assists and sometimes he has a bunch of assists. But that really is predicated on his teammates hitting all of their shots.
Sure.
There is not a natural flow to this team at all right now.
Nope.
And part of that, again, is because Domas is out. And so I'll give them that. But at the same time, go get the ball. Go get in the 2-man game with Valanciunas where he's setting screens and you're getting to the basket. Again, I think even Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles has had a bunch of assists in the last couple of games.
Mhm.
It's because he's trying to do his best Domantas Sabonis impersonation.
Sure.
And that's fine. But at the same time, like Zach LaVine has to be more aggressive, just straight up. He has to be more aggressive. And again, you're right, Kyle. We don't know what's going on with Zach off the court.
Mhm.
He stepped away from a huge game.
Yeah.
The Cavs game was a huge game.
Yeah.
And then he ended up being there in the building
Mhm.
late at night. So I don't know. Again, it's very possible he flew back and like came in after the game.
Yeah.
He's staying at the Sawyer because he doesn't have a place here yet.
Mhm.
All that stuff. It's very possible he just poked in and said, "Hey, what's going on? I'm back."
Right.
But still, this has been going on for a week and a
Yeah.
half, 2 weeks. It's a trend at this point. It's not a one-off. It's not a two-off. Like there's something going on structurally, and you have to fix that.
Mhm.
As a coaching staff, as whoever, you got to figure out how you get the ball in that guy's hands, because when he is scoring, he's electric.
Yeah, man. Like that's and he shot it didn't shoot it great last night, but for the most part he's been shooting it well, which is why this is so hard to understand. He's averaging over those last 5 games 34.8 minutes a game and 9.8 field goal attempts a game.
Yeah.
In his career, he has 14 games where he's played 34 or more minutes and taken 10 or fewer shots. It just doesn't track. And how many of those? 9 of those 14 were 2017 and before. So 8+ years ago when he was
When he wasn't established.
Still relatively young in the league, yeah. So I don't know, man. It was I just kind of keep waiting for him to figure it out. To go, okay, he's back. Here he is. Okay, there's the Zach LaVine 38 points on 16 shots type of game. Okay, he's locked in. He's dialed. I expected the 1 game. Okay, he had a bad game. But then 2. All right, well, now he's going to be 3. Oh, okay. Now we're at 5? His most productive minutes in that stretch was during garbage time of a game against the Suns. Doesn't make sense. There's a ton to unpack from this game, and Frank is in Elk Grove. Frank in Elk Grove? Yeah, Frank in Elk Grove wants to talk about some of the other things going on with the Kings right now. Frank, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Kyle? First, I'll give you my best bet for today in the NCAA tournament.
Love it.
You want to make a little cash? Take Memphis today
All right.
at 11.
All right, we like Memphis over Colorado State. Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't trust no WAC team is Mount West Conference team does anything in this tournament.
Yeah.
Unless you're San Diego State.
No doubt.
Okay.
Hey, Frank, can you do me a favor real quick before you get started? Can you turn your radio off?
I don't have my TV on. I'm watching the game. Is that
okay.
better now?
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Frank. Let it rip.
Okay, first of all, last night we got nothing from Alice, Carter, and Levine. Last night he played Devin Carter way too much. White cooked him all night long, him and Alice.
I agree.
Yep. Thanks for the call, Frank. Yeah, so again, we talked a little bit about DeMar DeRozan. We've talked about Zach LaVine. You don't smoke a 19-point lead. You don't have a 31-point swing in 28 minutes without a bunch of things going sideways. And I think Frank's spot on. Devin Carter, who was sensational against Cleveland, was not effective last night. He had a couple of nice defensive moments, but it's really clear he's still a rookie. He's going to have his games like against Cleveland where you go, okay, light bulb's starting to come on, and then it's going to flicker a little bit like it did last night. And he only played 20 minutes. I don't think it's outrageous that he played 20.
Yeah, and if again, I think I've been pretty harsh on Devin Carter as a player, but I fully expect this exact thing. Like one night you have the career night, the next night you have kind of a dud.
Yeah.
And that's what being a rookie and being in the first 26 games, 25 games of your career looks like.
Yeah.
And so I don't have any problems with Devin Carter. And like, again, he played 20 minutes last night. Who else are you going to play? Because I'm not giving Markelle Fultz the minutes anymore. I'm kind of over the Markelle Fultz like experience here. He played the night before. We had 5 points, hit a 3, hit a corner 3. Like his defense has been okay. Decision making has been off. You can't just sit out half the season and come in and think you're going to have a rhythm.
Well, and I think on some level, this season is a little bit about the next 2 and 3 seasons.
For Markel?
Well, for the Kings.
Oh, yeah.
They're obviously trying to win this year. They're trying to go to the playoffs, all that. But 20 minutes for Devin Carter is so much more valuable to the Kings than 15 minutes for Devin Carter and 5 for Markel Fultz.
No, I totally agree. This is a moment where you start to give Markel Fultz, where you start to give Devin Carter minutes.
Yeah.
This is a natural progression of any team.
Mm-hmm.
This is a moment where it's like, okay, let's see what he's got. Let's give him enough body of work that when we get into the offseason, we can show him tape on 15 different things that he did right and 15 different things he did wrong. And this is the plan of attack for the summer. And this is how we're going to grow you. This is how you're going to get better at this aspect of the game, but you need that tape right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that tape on Devin Carter way more than you ever needed on Markel Fultz. He's on a 1-year deal, and chances are won't be part of this franchise next year. Even if he is, you're still going to need Devin Carter to keep progressing. Yeah. Whether he's a trade ship or whether he's a player for you, whatever he is, you still need that progression.
Yeah.
And for right now, I'm okay with that. Keon Ellis last night, I got to be honest, Keon Ellis was not good at all.
Tough night for the Keon Ellis Hive last night.
Yeah, like Keon Ellis has been exceptional all season long. This was one of his worst games. He goes 0-2 from the field. I think he had 2 rebounds and 2 steals.
I don't remember a single Keon Ellis thing that happened last night.
The only thing I remember was Kobe White just running right through him and getting to the basket again and again, and him picking up bad fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and tough fouls because he didn't pick Kobe White up early.
That was something Doug talked about after the game. And that's where I know that in those moments, it's like, well, Kobe White is just driving in and running into people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, and that's a foul because when the defender is moving toward the offensive player, that's going to be a foul 100% of the time.
Yeah, he just bodied them.
Yeah, and the reason you can do that is because he's getting a free run to the basket.
Yeah.
And he gets us out. Okay, Jake LaRavia is doing what he can to slide his feet and defend with his chest, but when you are moving toward the offensive player while they're going to the basket, you're going to get called for a foul. And that's where it's, hey, Kobe White is getting downhill with force and with ease every time he gets the ball. Check him higher. Check him at half court. Double him. Get the ball out of his hands. Do something.
That's the strange thing. They never did that. They never, and the transition bucket started to add up late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And watch, Kobe White was absolutely phenomenal last night.
It was awesome.
I don't want to take anything away from what he did last night. I mean, he's improved so much as a player, but what he did.
We're not here to talk about Kobe White's development, though. So
no, but he
shout out to him.
He scored 15 points in the third quarter, and I think it was 16 in the fourth.
Yeah,
like he just blew up. He had 31 points.
Man.
And what he finished 31, with 36?
31 points in the second half, and he finished with 35.
Yeah, so 4 points in the first half, and then he just goes nuts on you.
9 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Yeah, man, I don't know. Devin Carter, by the way, last night, the only King with a positive plus minus. He's a +5.
Wait, Devin Carter?
What did I say?
No, what did you say?
Yeah, Devin Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devin Carter was a +5. Jake LaRavia was a 0, and everybody else was a minus.
Oof,
tough.
That's tough.
Yeah, man. All right, we'll take a look. We'll do some non-King stuff for a minute. How's that? That sound good to everybody? Take a break from talking about the Kings for a minute. Joe's nodding. All right, we'll do that. We'll take a look at what else happened in the NBA last night. Oh, you know what? Hey, I'm sorry. We have to do one more thing for the game. Key storyline we've not hit. We'll do that next. He's James. That's Joe. I'm Kyle. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Hitter. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, this is kind of it. I don't think they'll get to 10th. I don't think they'll fall to 10.
Yeah.
Mostly because that's not like hey, they're going to win a bunch down the stretch. I just don't think anybody behind them is going to win enough games either. But yeah, I don't.
Typically, Mark, I would agree with this, but he did not give you any chance to defend at all last night.
Yeah, it was weird.
I think he had 5 fouls. 4 fouls, 5 fouls. Yeah, watching Kobe White just put a shoulder into his chest and get right to the rim again and again, that was crazy. I'm surprised they didn't, again, go Keegan or go LaRavia on him, or go back to Jonas Valanciunas and try to stop them from getting to the interior. But a lot of it, again, was in transition.
LaRavia is a dog, dude.
Yeah.
A couple of the rebounds he had last night. A nice dunk in traffic.
The Bulls had 10 fast break points in the fourth quarter alone. They had 5 in the third. That's where they dominated, was in the fourth quarter, where he kept getting out on the break. And again, the Kings had 0 fast break points. Bad offense led to bad defense.
Yep.
Again and again and again.
And it felt like they had so many possessions where they would dribble into traffic, and then because nobody's moving, the pass is just easy to read.
Oh yeah.
Because the passing lane is not moving at all. It's like if I'm defending Keegan and he's in the corner, I just have to stand between the ball and Keegan because Keegan's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then when they try and throw the pass to him, I'm going to grab it, and there's a break. That happened. It happened like 4 or 5 times last night.
It's crazy. Zach LaVine went 2 of 5 in the fourth quarter. So he finished with 9 shots. So he was 0 for 4 going into the fourth.
Hey, look at Mississippi State. Was that game not a blowout earlier?
Oh.
I might have been hallucinating. Never mind.
I think I took Baylor in this.
Was that game? I've got to be thinking of something different. Oh, you know what? I was thinking Montana. That's definitely what I was thinking of. Montana plays later. Is that guy holding a stick mic? I don't know who that is, though. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. I don't think the Kings aren't good. They're inconsistent. If they can just play with consistency. Do you know why they don't play with consistency?
Yeah. Because they aren't good.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to accept that.
But they're not bad.
That's why it's so confusing.
They're mid. They're just right there.
And I've said this before, like, it's so frustrating to be a fan of a team that's mid, like more frustrating than a terrible team, truly, because you go on this roller coaster. If you're sitting right at 500, like, you might think, like, we're so back, we're gone. We're so back, we're gone.
Yeah.
You have a team that sucks. It's not even like a thought, So, yeah, it's a frustrating ride.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing, like, I don't know if Primo's being sarcastic here, but like the schedule's a schedule. The Kings didn't get like a harder schedule from a like who they're playing perspective.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Chatty House is rocking today. YouTube.com/ESPN1320, Twitch.tv/ESPN1320 if you'd like to join the conversation there. If you want to join the conversation on air, go ahead and call the Elk Grove Kia Talk on at 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Couple things. One, everyone's brackets doing okay?
Mine is. I'm okay, not great.
Yeah, no, just it's still early.
It is still early.
Okay is fine.
I guess I'm not doing as bad as I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Like I'm like 2 points behind you guys or something.
Yeah, that's not after the first day. That's not
It's
bad.
not terrible.
I have a pet peeve about this. Your bracket is not busted until your champ loses. Can I just?
Yeah, because no one gets a perfect bracket.
Right. And I saw people yesterday after Clemson lost going, "Oh, my bracket's busted."
Okay.
Like, did you pick Clemson to win? Well, no.
It's funny you say that. I was thinking the same thing. I was wondering. I was like, well, no, it's not over.
No, of course not. Some people will say, depending on the scoring in your bracket, some people will say if you lose a Final Four team, your bracket's busted, and that's okay. I'll accept that.
Okay.
But just because you lost a game doesn't mean your bracket's busted.
Yeah,
in my eyes.
Even in our bracket here, our pool here in the office, Charlie is killing it. He's missed 2 games. He missed 2 of the first 16. I mean, it looks really good.
Yeah, it's insane. I was looking at it this morning.
Yeah. Charlie's a big college basketball guy, though, I hear.
Okay, that makes sense.
Loves him some college hoop. We've been talking a lot about the Kings today, obviously. There's one thing we have not talked about quite yet, and that is the revenge game that took place last night at G1C.
Oh yeah.
Let me get. Here's Kevin Huerter, who was dynamite down the stretch last night. Kevin Huerter in the fourth quarter was 4 of 5 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, and scored 11 of his 25 points. It was his most points in a game since December 8th. And he hit the 2 dagger threes in the fourth quarter. And then after the game was not shy about how he was feeling. Jesus. About how he was feeling following his big night. This is via Matt George and ABC 10.
Deal about revenge games. Was there the revenge narrative, the grudge narrative, or is this just a basketball game that you guys even?
100% revenge game. 100%. So I felt good. Came out here with a dub.
What specifically, what chip on your shoulder did you specifically bring with you into this game, or what did you want to accomplish in this game?
Yeah, I won't get into details. Just an old team. Obviously, getting moved mid-season, getting a good opportunity over here, and came back and played well in a game I wanted to play well. So it feels good.
You got 2 big threes down the stretch there. I mean, how good do those feel to knock those down?
It felt really good. It felt really good.
What about the crowd's reaction? Appreciate being a part of the dream team. So
That was nice to hear. I've always loved the fans here. I hope they continue to love me. I've said it before. I'll say it again. A city that loves their team, and it was awesome playing here. I said it after the game on the TV with the Bulls. Like, it's a Thursday night on a back-to-back, and this place was sold out. And that's what this fan base continues to bring. So it was a fun game. It was great to hear the warm reception, and I'll still have a lot of people here, both with the team and working for the team, that I'll keep in touch with.
This is Kevin Huerter, by the way, just resetting for the radio. This is Kevin Huerter talking in the tunnel last night. This is a garage door behind him, I think. I don't even know where this is.
This is right outside the visitors' locker room.
Okay. So it's just in the, literally in the hallway.
Little before the hallway, a little to the left. You know where the fan sign? I mean, where the fans hang their stuff down for players to sign.
Mm-hmm.
It's right past that. It's where the visiting team head coach a lot of time does his pregame. Like, they'll put a banner up right there. Yeah.
No banner for Kevin Huerter, though. He continues talking about his revenge game against the Sacramento Kings.
Is your first game against your final team or your old team, does that provide kind of some final closure for you? Does that linger with you over the rest of your career, knowing it's your former team?
Yeah, no, that'll feel good. I mean, this team will most likely change, and as all teams do in the NBA, year to year, coaching staffs will change, and so this one being against the team I just came from and having a game like that, it definitely feels good. It's fresh on the mind. It happened a month ago, so I'll be excited to continue to come back and play here, but I don't think any of them will feel as sweet as this one did tonight.
We'll stop there.
Yeah, and shout out to Matt George from ABC 10 posting the video. We were in waiting for Doug Christie when Kevin talked, and so
Yeah.
yeah, good work.
Shout out, Matt. Man, that was when in the chatty house yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of stuff about Kevin Huerter revenge game, and I thought everybody was like joking around. That's exactly what happened. He slammed the door. I saw somebody in the chat say that he's the least concerning thing about last night. Yeah, no, this is not like, the Kings shouldn't have traded him. Like, they definitely should have. He was not playing well. His time in Sacramento was done.
Oh no, it was over.
But how many times did he say, yeah, that felt good? Like, he wanted that so bad.
Like, look, this is super complicated, and I know not everybody here agrees with me. Like here in our at our station agrees with me about this, but whatever happened to Kevin Huerter happens to players. It does. Like I've been around the league a long time. I've seen players roll through Sacramento that were so good the year before with some other team, and then they get to Sacramento and they cannot play at all.
Struggle.
Like, go look at Ramon Sessions. Like, people forget he was a Sacramento King. And you're like, huh, like, what exactly, you look at him and you're like, why did the Kings go out and sign him to a contract? So he played for 2 teams a year before he got to Sacramento. He averaged, in the final 28 games of the year for Milwaukee, he averaged 15.8 points. Again, 46.1% from the field, 35.7% from 3. He was a really good player. He signs with the Kings and is so bad that they limited him to 36 games that year before they dumped him. I think they waived him. He averaged 5.4 points, couldn't shoot at all, shot 21.4% from 3, 34.4% from the field. And this is a player who had a long history of averaging double figures in the NBA. Marco Bellinelli showed up in Sacramento, could not hit the broadside of a barn. Like, George Karl wanted him to have all this freedom as a shooter and
Italian
creator.
Kobe, bro.
He was horrible. All he did was complain that he liked passes from Rajon Rondo more than he liked them from Darren Collison. So he wanted to start because that's where Rondo was, and he should be a starter because it's just a better pass. Like, stop making excuses for the fact that you were a bad basketball player. And so, Kevin Huerter was really good his first year in Sacramento. Whatever happened at the All-Star break where he goes to the 3-point shootout, it broke him, and he did not recover. And he had a couple of games after the All-Star game where he was fine. He got to the playoffs, was absolutely not good at all. And so when you get to year number 2, I don't know what to say. The guy was making $16.5 million a year and couldn't shoot anymore. And he had some nice moments where he was solid, but I do not agree that bringing in competition in Chris Duarte and starting him at one preseason game broke Kevin Huerter. And that was it. No, Kevin Huerter had a responsibility to do a job, and he stopped doing it at a high level. And when you're a player who has a skill set that's very singular, like Kevin Huerter can rebound, Kevin Huerter can pass the ball, but defensively, not a good defender, not quick enough to defend smaller guards at all. And your main job is to shoot the 3-point shot, and you don't do that anymore. That's a problem. And it doesn't matter what excuse it was, whatever. Kevin Huerter got every opportunity here to figure it out, to get better, to get back to the player he was the year before, and it just never happened. And so it was time for him to move on. I'm happy for him to have a game like this because, look, I don't have any ill will towards Kevin Huerter, but this happens. Players in the NBA go to certain teams and they're good one year and then they're not good for the rest of their career, and you wonder what happened. Kevin's just one of those guys. He needed a fresh start really bad, probably needed a sports psychologist while he was here in Sacramento. There are a lot of bad things happen to Kevin Huerter on the basketball court. And it was good for the Kings that he moved on. And for that matter, it's good for him to exercise some demons.
It's really clear whatever happened in Sacramento, he blames the Kings for it.
Well,
or whoever, the coaching staff, whatever it is. Because he even said, teams change, front offices change, coaches change.
Yeah.
it's really, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that they brought in Chris Duarte to compete with him. Maybe because they had the audacity to do that. I don't know. I'm sure there's more to it. But whatever it is, he was on fire last night and helped put the Kings away, which was not on my bingo card. He's been playing better lately for Chicago, but he was very, very good last night in the win for the Bulls. And if you ask him, felt good.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just wanted to get to the Kevin Huerter revenge game aspect because not a thing I anticipated. All right. We'll take a look elsewhere around the NBA. Not a ton of action last night, but plenty of games coming up that'll matter for the Kings if they're going to climb out of the 9 or if they're going to fall back to the 10. We'll continue looking forward as we try and kind of wash our hands of whatever the hell happened to the Kings last night. We'll talk about how they bounce back as well. He's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil on the 1s and 2s. Second hour coming up next on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Center. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep reminding us so we don't forget. Yeah, I mean, Kevin started the first 15 games of the year this season for the Kings. And he shot 29% from 3. Like, things happen, you know. And again, it's not that Mike Brown didn't like Kevin Huerter. You know, I talked to Mike about it very specifically, both on the record and off the record. He had absolutely no problems with Kevin Huerter. Everyone was just waiting for Kevin Huerter to become the player he was before, and he never did it. And that was unfortunate.
And one quarter doesn't mean he played basically the whole fourth quarter. Doesn't mean like, oh man, the Kings did the wrong thing.
No. Well, the fact is he wouldn't have done that for you.
It's just kind of annoying.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's great for Kevin that he did that, but he wasn't doing that for the Kings.
I know that the Bulls are not very good. But I really enjoyed watching Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry. It's not like they weren't like incredible. They went a combined 3 of 14 and 2 of 8 from 3. But Julian Phillips scored 2 points, had 6 boards and a steal, and he was a plus 18.
Yeah, it's just those long, crazy athletic dudes.
Yeah, how does every team find these dudes?
Stephen Castaneda, what does a sports psychologist do? Look, there's
psychology for athletes.
Yeah, I mean, they help you cope with some of the issues that you may be having as a player, and they allow you to talk out issues that you might have, and whether it's like your perceived playing time or whatever, what they're there to do is try to put you in a positive state of mind. So when you go out on the court, you're just ready to play and ready to focus on the game itself and not all the outside noise. And I know someone else mentioned in here that, Kevin Huerter really heard it from the Kings fans when he turned off his comments on social media. You know why? Because I've said this a bunch of times. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, right? But when you're a troll and you're going at somebody in their Instagram or on Twitter, that's not being a fan. That's being a troll. And players are people, and they do. I'm happy for Kevin that he shut that off. He doesn't need to hear crazy stuff from fans. He needed to focus on getting better at the game of basketball and figuring out what was impacting him mentally to be successful on the court. And people dragging him every single day was not going to help. Mark Robertson, it doesn't matter if I throw in the towel and call for a full rebuild. Nobody's listening to me. And even if they do listen to me, they're not going to go do a full rebuild because James Ham said so.
If I was in the Kings front office, I am looking. I don't think anything or any player is untouchable this offseason, is the way I'm approaching it.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to call that a full rebuild, then fine. But I'm not just going to start giving players away. But yeah.
Shout out my buddy John. He thinks if he was the GM, he would literally completely right this ship. So shout out him.
Hire John.
Well, yeah, I agree, Brian. It's harassment, and it's bullying, and
Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil is behind the glass. We're rocking with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC right here on ESPN 1320. It is Sacramento's sports leader. Not a ton going on in the NBA last night. Bronny James, congratulations on a career-high 17 points.
Mm-hmm.
On a blowout loss to the Bucks. Salute. That's cool for him. I've reached the point now, we've turned the corner with Bronny James for me personally. I've turned the corner where I was rooting for him at first because he's a kid going into college.
Yeah.
And obviously had the health setback that he had. And so, just rooting for him. But then the discourse got so bad that I'm like, I hope he just goes to the G League and just it goes away for a while. No, again, not anti him, just anti all the every NBA thing you read was about Bronny freaking James.
Mm-hmm.
But now I've circled back to like, I want to see him playing and I want to see him succeed. I'm all the way back around because the discourse has died down enough now. I know there was the Stephen A. LeBron thing, but that didn't bother me so much.
I'm just kind of ambivalent. I mean, there have been a ton of players' sons, NBA players' kids that come into the league and just aren't very good.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think when you're the son of not only a living legend, but a living legend that is still playing, we haven't had this before.
And playing at a high level.
Well, I mean, LeBron James is still absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Right? He's still one of the top 15, 20 players in the league,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy because he's in his 40s. But the pressure on this kid, I don't like the nepotism aspect of it, but at the same time, that's part of the game. If you don't think nepotism is part of the game, look at every front office around the league and see how many owners' kids are in the front office of some team.
And that's across sports.
It is totally. So
John Lynch's kid on the 49ers coaching staff now, by the way. Go on.
Well, yeah. And Mike Brown's son was on his was a developmental staff player in Sacramento, and the other one is on the 49ers staff.
Yeah.
There's nepotism is all around, in sports. It's weird because I think he should have stayed in school. I think he should have had an opportunity to succeed as a college athlete and then maybe make the hop to the NBA. Maybe he would have been more ready. But at this point, look, if he goes out and puts up 17 points in a game, good for him.
Yeah, salute.
I mean,
Shout
you
out
got
Bronny.
clubbed, but
that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. No Luka, no LeBron. It's fine. The Warriors beat the Raptors 117-114. The big news out of that game, though, Steph Curry has a bruised pelvis.
Oh.
Some good news for Golden State, though. The MRI came back negative, which I've always thought is a weird thing. The MRI was negative. Oh, no, what happened? No, it's
that's a positive.
It's a positive. MRI was negative. He has a contusion, a pelvis contusion. He's not going to play against the Hawks tomorrow. But it doesn't sound like he's going to be out long term, which is good because I don't know how far Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler can carry an NBA team. They were awesome down the stretch last night.
Yeah.
Quentin Post was really good last night. But Golden State beats the Raptors. They hang on to the number 6 seed, 2 back of the 5 seed Grizzlies. The Kings currently 5.5 back of the 6 seed, 4 back of the 8 seed Wolves. Hey, are we done looking at the 8 seed?
Yeah, I think so.
You're 3 back in the loss column with 13 games to go.
Man, if you were 2 back in the loss column, I mean that's why last night's game,
that was brutal.
It just meant so much.
It did.
And it's tough because I know, no team goes out there hoping to lose. But to have, especially when you're in it and you're coming off such a huge emotional win the night before over the Cavs, Like, you had an opportunity to start this crazy homestand that has nothing, 5 super good teams, 5 like legitimate, very good playoff teams, and then 2 teams that are one's in the play-in, and the other one is trying to fight their way into the play-in. So a 7-game homestand, you had an opportunity last night to start that 7-game homestand 3-0.
Yep.
And you just didn't take care of business.
You'd have been 3 if you win last night. You're 3-0 to start the homestand. And now you can lose all 3 to Milwaukee, Boston, and Oklahoma City, and then give yourself a chance to beat the Trailblazers on March 27th. That's next Thursday. And you could have gone 4-3 on this homestand. Now to go 4-3, you still got to beat the Blazers, but then you got to figure out how to get one against Milwaukee, Boston, and Oklahoma City, which you can. Like, if they play as well as they did against the Cavs, they'll win 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that they can still, have a 4-3 homestand, or, like, I don't know if you can go better than 4-3.
No, and I wouldn't bank on that.
I think at a minimum, you're going to lose 2 of the next 3.
Yeah, it feels that way, especially because that Celtics Thunder is a back-to-back.
Man,
that's so brutal. Oh, jeez Louise. Yeah, man, that's it. And it just, we looked earlier after their loss to, was it the Clippers, where Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee tweeted out that stat about the Kings against teams above 500. And we started looking through the schedule and going, all right, well, teams that are not above 500, you got Phoenix, you got the Bulls. And then we went through the whole list, and you go, okay, if you get those games, you just got to go 3-8 against the teams above 500 or whatever it was. And they've lost to the Suns and the Bulls.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
And this, I don't know, man.
That's the difference between winning 43, 44 games and being like right at 500 by the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. What you're looking to do at this point is just give yourself some kind of margin for error. Because again, if you're maximizing what this season is, it looks like 9 seed, which means you're at least hosting that play-in game. When you start tricking a game to the Bulls and you're getting beat by 16 against the Suns, and now you got Milwaukee and then Boston and Oklahoma City and then Portland, who's playing well, I should say playing better and gunning for the 10 seed, then you got to go on a 7-game road trip that features another game against the Cavs. You get the Pistons, you get the Magic. Magic are not an easy out.
Yeah.
Not a great team, but not easy to beat. It's brutal, man.
Yeah.
And it was there, you're up 19.
Well, that's the problem. I think when you're going to go back and count all the losses this season that you should have, could have, would have, this is one that won't probably garner nearly as much because it's a lopsided final score where they lose by
12.
12, yeah.
They were up 19 with 3:51 to go in the second half.
Yeah.
First half. Jeez,
First half.
Second quarter.
So, but
I never got that second
when
cup
you look
of coffee
at
today.
That's true.
Goodness me.
When you look at the grand scheme of the season, you're going to say, oh, that's a 12-point loss. We're not even going to look at that. But the problem is, and you're going to say, oh, it's a back-to-back. But when you pull back a little bit and go, the Bulls were also on a back-to-back. The Bulls were not nearly as good a team. You were up 19, all that stuff. We factor that in. It will be one of the bad loss categories for sure. Yeah, and just like a really, really surprising bad loss because you had all the momentum. You had everything going. I mean, Golden One Center, like, shout out to Kings fans, man. The place was nuts.
Yep.
Like, going absolutely crazy.
Yep.
And then just got silenced, and just really, really stunning.
It was amazing. It was amazing how quickly the energy just got sucked out of the building.
Oh yeah.
And I think the big issue was because when they were rolling, Malik Monk starts 4 of 4 and they're cruising, and Trey Lyles is knocking down threes, and they had 11 threes in the first quarter. Half of their games this year, they've hit 11 or fewer threes.
Oof.
And they had 11 made threes in the first quarter.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. That's an insane number for a quarter.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you're right. That play, and then they had that stretch at the end of the half that we talked about, where it's turnovers and missed threes, and okay, he made a couple free throws. And then you're not getting stops. And then they never gave the crowd a chance to be meaningful in the second half because they just they face planted and never got back up.
Yeah.
And it got down when they were coming back at the end, and Jake Laravia's getting an and one on a dunk, and did Malik hit a three? Malik was kind of going off. They couldn't guard Malik.
Malik didn't hit a three. He didn't have a three after the first quarter. He started, I think it was 5 of 6, and he finished 5 for 10.
Whatever else happened. What was it? Something. There were 2 points where I went, oh, maybe. But that was like, okay, the crowd's kind of into it, but you're fighting uphill at that point. And at that point, the crowd is less of a factor.
It was probably DeMar DeRozan hitting shots because that did happen. And it's the most difficult thing about DeMar DeRozan is that when he's rolling, you're like, okay, I get it. And then when he starts dribbling the air out of the ball, that's the biggest problem. So Doug Christie has explained this like recently that they break the shot clock up into 3 8-second, like increments, right? And if you're in the first 8 seconds, that's bringing the ball up the court, getting it into the offense, sometimes transition buckets, sometimes getting an easy, quick bucket because someone's not, like out of position or whatever. The next 8 seconds is when you really hope that you're scoring, right? That you're in your offense, you're flowing, everything's moving, the ball's hopping from one side to the next, and you're looking for that perfect shot, the wide open look. And then the last 8 seconds is where it's like, okay, it's kind of panic mode. Let's get the ball to Malik. Let's get the ball to Zach. Let's get the ball to DeMar and let them cook one-on-one.
Individual creator, yeah.
Yeah, so that last 8 seconds is where you get that individual creation. I think that's what stood out the most last night. Anytime DeMar DeRozan touched the ball, like he was bringing the ball up and you knew he was never giving it up.
Nope.
Like he was laser focused on getting to 25,000 points. And it just became such a problem that it took the Kings completely out of what they were doing. And like, am I hard on DeMar DeRozan sometimes? Yes. But it's just because the game looks so different. He forces the game to look so different for stretches where you just sit there and go, I don't understand. And then other times where he's doing that same thing, but it's in that final 8 seconds and he's doing good work and he's hitting all of his shots and he's giving you a shot to win a game. There's such a weird dynamic with him. We got into it with Sean Cunningham last night. We're sitting there bickering in the media box.
Funny.
It was fun.
Just having a whole discussion about this.
Like
there's a game going on.
And his point of view is right. Like we're watching Zach LaVine do Zach LaVine things. And he's like, but that's what he does. That's when you signed him, DeMar DeRozan. I'm sorry. DeMar DeRozan, that is what DeMar DeRozan does. So why are you upset with watching what he's doing when that's what he does? And it's like, well, just because that's what he does doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
And so we have this dynamic where it's like he's very much pro DeMar DeRozan. And I'm not anti DeMar DeRozan. I enjoy watching good basketball. We've talked about it a million times. We don't like watching Luka and we don't like watching James Harden.
Aesthetically, it's not that fun.
No, it's not fun to watch.
And when now, and again, there's a lot of gray area. When he gets cooking like he was in Dallas, or he has those stretches where he goes 7 of 10, and it's just every time down, he's getting to that spot, like 15 feet, baseline. They're gonna send a double, and he's just gonna rise and fire and knock it down. It's like, yeah, man, that's a lot of fun. But when he when he gets into these spells where it's just he's gonna dribble and throw up a bad shot, it makes more sense. Look, there was a lineup last night. It was DeRozan with Keon, and I think it was
Laravia and Devin Carter
and Trey Lyles.
Yes,
it's like that makes way more sense.
Yep,
where it's a lot of defense and it is DeMar DeRozan. They're like, yes, go cook.
They tried that with LaVine as well, and it was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because if LaVine's not being active, then it's like Devin Carter's got the ball. You're like, hey man, you're gonna step out of the corner and take the ball from the rookie.
And when Devin Carter's got the ball, it is Devin Carter time, baby.
It is.
We got a couple of things to get to here. One, we're gonna give you stuff. We got a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate. And this hoodie that James is wearing, not that specific one. It's not the one off his back. We have more of that type of hoodie.
You have to pay extra for that, Kyle.
It's exclusive. It's exclusive to this giveaway. It's the only place you can get it. You go to ESPN1320.com. You find the Jiffy Lube contest page. It's front and center. You can't miss it. And you're going to enter the code word Velvet. Velvet. VELVET.
Velvet.
Salute to Kevin Herter. He didn't get a tribute video, but he does get a tribute keyword here on ESPN 1320. So go and enter that keyword at ESPN1320.com on the Jiffy Lube contest page for your chance to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insiders hoodie, courtesy of our friends at Jiffy Lube. Speaking of the brackets, which we were doing earlier, I've got in my underdog lineup tonight some March college basketball.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm fired up about it. So Duke plays later on against Mount St. Mary's. Cooper Flagg expected to play.
Wild.
But I'm going Cooper Flagg. We thought he was dead.
Not quite dead yet.
That was a rough injury. But no, so he is expected to be back. I'm going with underdogs pick'em game, by the way. You pick two or more players and you pick higher or lower on their stat projections, and then you can win up to 1,000 times your money. It's that easy, and it's so fun. So I'm going Cooper Flagg, lower than 27.5 points, rebounds, assists. Cooper Flagg is awesome. I'm rooting for him. I have Duke to win one of my brackets, so I would like to see Cooper Flagg play well, but I think they're going to ease him in. They have enough talent to beat Mount St. Mary's without Cooper Flagg needing to play 35 minutes. So I think he's going to be limited in his role early on in the tournament. I'm going less than 27.5 points, rebounds, assists. This game has already started. Colorado State, they're actually favored in their 12-5 matchup. They're the 12 seed. They're favored over Memphis by 1.5. Nick Clifford for Colorado State, the Rammies, averaging 19 points a game this year. I'm going higher than 20.5 because give me a guard in a 12-5 matchup for the underdog. A scoring guard. It is going to be Nick Clifford time. So that's where I'm going with him. And then Alex Sarr, you can also tie in multiple sports to your lineup. So I'm adding an NBA player to my March college basketball lineup. Alex Sarr has been cooking for the Wizards. In case you've missed it, which you probably have, he's averaging 19, 8, and 3 since March 3rd. And over his last 4 games, he's a 50, 100 guy. He's just shooting the heck out of the ball. He's being really impactful. I'm going higher than 22.5 assists, higher than 22.5 points, rebounds, assists for Alex Sarr of the Wizards against the Magic tonight. That's my underdog lineup. Would love for you to play along. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus credits instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Void where prohibited. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. All right, we'll have more hoops coming up next on The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports.
Brandon Cooks is returning to the Saints.
Nice. Good for him.
He got a fat deal. Yeah, we've been talking about Isaac Jones running out of days for a while. He's played in 31 games, but he has 19 games where he dressed and didn't play, and he is officially out of NBA games. So no more Isaac Jones unless they sign him to a regular contract. Right now they have 14 roster spots taken. They do have an open roster spot with Terry Taylor on a 10-day. And then they've got to figure out if they're going to sign him to a regular roster spot or not. I would not be surprised to see him get a 3-year deal with the every other year, well, all of the years being team options, but they're up against the luxury tax, and I don't know what the exact dollar is. They could just wait till this summer and give a qualifying offer and then give him a contract this summer. I personally think they could use him over the next 2 weeks. But Doug has been reluctant to play him. And I don't blame Doug for that either, because let's be honest, when you're taking over a team mid-season and you're rookie head coach, the job is to win games and to do everything in your power to keep the job. And sometimes that means that you play veterans over young players. Except for in the case of Mark Helfolds. Mark Robertson, does the Kings making the play-in even matter?
That's a great question. Don't answer that.
Okay.
Mark, we're stealing that. No, I don't. I'm not. If you're asking me, you might be asking Kyle in the chat. I'm not a video game guy.
Yeah. We're married, both of us.
No, it's not even that. It's just that's not like a thing I gravitate to anymore.
Oh, no. I agree. But part of it is because when you're married and you're already asking your spouse to let you watch as much sports as we do and do all that we do to cover teams and all that stuff, you can't ask someone to, hey, can you just hang out for another 3 hours?
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I'm Kyle. He's James. Joe Brazil's on the ones and twos. Quick little bracket update. Alabama. Spoiler alert. Struggling against Robert Morris. 64-62, 7:44 left in that one. Also got a barn burner. Baylor and Mississippi State. Baylor up 1 with the basketball. 1:15 left. We're just going to do some play-by-play here.
Oh, this is
That's
pretty
definitely
wild.
illegal.
Oh.
Should we just stream it?
Oh.
Throw it on the stream?
I don't think that's allowed, Kyle.
There's some sort of new streaming platform people have been using where they're streaming the games, like, and just showing them, and people are watching along.
Oh,
yeah, just made me think of that.
All right.
And so, if we needed to,
I sure would like to. If this was just a video stream and we're not on the radio, I would love to just pull up some March Madisons and just watch with the homies.
Oh yeah.
Alas, we cannot. All right, that's your bracket update. If anything else crazy happens, we'll let you know. Mark Robertson in the chatty house asked a really interesting question. Said, does the Kings making the play-in even matter? And I think that's fascinating. Because the answer is yes. Making the play-in is a substantially better outcome than what would, and I think this is why, is a substantially better outcome because of what would have to happen to fall out of the play-in. It feels right now like there's some floor for the Kings.
Yeah.
It's not high, but there's a floor that is, yeah, you're in the kind of 8, 9, 10 range. For that to fall out, I think something really, really disastrous would have happened. Whether that's some kind of blow up in the locker room, whether that's somebody quitting on the team, whatever, the scenario where the Kings aren't in the play-in is not a good one, is my point here.
No, I'm with you.
But at the same time, let's say they hold on to the 9 seed, which I think they're going to, and they win their first play-in game and they lose the second one to the Timberwolves or Golden State or to the Clippers or whoever winds up being in that game, it's not like, yeah, hey, celebration, awesome, they were in the play-in again. I don't even. So it's better than falling out of the play-in, but it's also not, let's celebrate because they won a play-in game for the second consecutive year. And congratulations, you're the Hawks.
Okay, so here's how okay. If the Kings were to fall out of the play-in, and I don't even know what this would take, because I again, if they fall out of the play-in, then you would hope that not only do they fall out of the play-in, but they fall behind two other teams. So you would want to finish with the 12th worst record in the NBA, in the Western Conference, right? And again, I don't even know if that's possible. You would want to get to a point where you got to keep your draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the thing that works out with, if I'm not mistaken, in the standings, is that they freeze the standings at the last day of the season. And if you make the play-in, you can bump up into, if you win the play-in, you become a playoff team. You can move above, you move out of the lottery, right? But your standings are still frozen, and you can actually be again, a play-in team, but you're in the lottery. The Kings right now, they have their pick is top 12 protected. So there is a world in which the Kings could fall out of the lottery. I mean, could fall out of the play-in, actually get to keep their pick.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason you would really do that, to be honest with you, is if you were going to blow it up this summer and be bad again next year and retain your pick and have that pick become 2 second-round picks. So there is a world in which you would go, okay, how, like, team building wise, making the play-in does not help them at all.
Right.
I like, especially this year, like if we're talking about, oh, you want to have this sort of progress that you're doing. This is not progress, what we've seen this year.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
And that's where when Mark asked, does making the play-in matter? It's like, yes, for a fan who just wants to see the Kings play more games.
Yeah.
And to have the maximum amount, like if you go to the play, you get to host a couple playoff games. That'd be really cool. And maybe you mess around and you win around. Like making the play-in puts more things on the table.
Yeah.
But I think what you're talking about when you start, okay, let's get out of the vacuum of this year and let's zoom out to 30,000 feet. Let's look at 2026, 2027 and beyond. Making the play-in does not impact that at all. There's not this
summer some player is going to say, ooh, I want to go to your team because you are a play-in team.
Right.
That's not going to happen. What a play-in team does is it says that you're not, I mean, and a lot of times it means a bad thing. It means, well, you're not that far away. And so a team goes in thinking, okay, well, we're not that far away. Like what would it take us to be a 6 seed? What would it take us to be a 5 seed? We're not that far away. That's a bad line of thought, because as of right now, this is a really complicated situation with the Sacramento Kings, but they're not young at all.
Yeah, their timeline is not.
It's not good. Like
wide.
We just talked about, Devin Carter just turned 23 in his rookie season. Keegan Murray is 25. Keon Ellis is 25. Like, you're a young player. Like we talked about, Isaac Jones, who is now out of NBA games. He can't play on the main roster. He's almost 25. Isaac Jones is almost 25. Like, this team has more players. They don't have a single player under the age of 23. None. That's a problem.
That's really tough.
Yeah, because they have more players over 30 than they do probably under 25. Well, they do. They have more. And that's, again, so you're in a bad spot, and financially you're in a weird situation as well.
Precarious, for sure.
Yeah, and then this summer you don't have your draft picks, so there's not going to be a way to improve through the draft this summer. And so that's another problem. And you don't have a bunch of salary cap space, so that's another problem. So you're in a very difficult situation as a franchise. That's why when you say, like, nobody's off limits this summer, nobody should be off limits on this team. The only person I would say, if I were building this team, if I were rebuilding this team right now, the only player there are two players I would say that I'm not going to trade going into the summer.
Okay.
And that's Domas and it's Keegan. And
Okay.
and I'm starting there, and scratch that. It's Domas, it's Keegan, and it's Keon. I think
Keon's just because he's affordable.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not just because he's affordable. I think he can be a starting shooting guard, and I think he's young, and I think he brings the things that you need to go alongside the rest of the pieces. I think you can sit there and twist and turn this roster a bunch of times until you can piece the puzzle together. But it's not going to be easy. It's not. Like the task ahead in order to go from a play-in team to back in the conversation, it is very difficult. To go from a play-in team to in some sort of championship conversation, they are so far away that I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the best case scenario is that you somehow are bad for a year, you get the number 1 through 5 pick, and that player ends up being great, and then you end up 2 years later being a better team. We're talking about like 4 years away from any of that being feasible.
Yeah.
So again, like a lot of people are in the chat, like, oh, just burn it down, just start over. Like, first of all, how are you going to get rid of the $46 million and $49 million on Zach LaVine's contract? The answer is you're probably not. Then it's like, okay, well, if we can't
get shooting it 10 times a game.
Well, yeah, but the Bulls had a tough time trying to move him for 2 years before. And then the other question is like, well, if you can't get rid of LaVine's contract, like, oh, well, then maybe you move Domas. You know how bad this team is without Domantas Sabonis on it? This team is a 22, 25, 27 win team if you pull Domantas Sabonis off it for an entire season. So I know a lot of people, Jonas has been so good. Jonas is like 31, 32. Like he's in the twilight of his career.
To be clear, he has been good.
He has been good. Yeah, without any doubt.
But he's not a foundational center that you're going to build the next 5 years of Kings basketball around.
No, absolutely not. So you have to be really smart about how you're going to attack this. And you have to understand that again, they go into this offseason and they have, once we get to July 1st, they'll have 9 first-round picks to work with.
Right.
But are you really going to trade your first-round picks when you don't know what your future is?
I would not move those picks unless
you're getting a really, really, really good player.
Unless you're getting a 1A who immediately makes you a playoff team, which I don't think you're going to get.
Probably not.
So it's
a weird situation to be in, but if like the question I always get asked, well, James, if you were the GM, what would you do? I wouldn't tank. I wouldn't blow this thing up. I would blow up a huge portion of the roster, but to get better, to make moves, to like change the feel, the look and the feel of the team, I would not like go all the way back to zero, because there's no guarantee that going all the way back to zero ever amounts to anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to flush 3 or 4 seasons of Kings basketball just down the tubes.
Well, and it's not
to try that.
I don't think that I understand the frustration. I don't want this to sound like, wow, if you're at the stage you want to blow it up, that's ridiculous, because it's not. Like, I get it. I 100% understand. The issue for me, and I think why I fall on your side of the argument here, is that we have not seen a maximized version of this. I was going to say this core, but I mean, what's the core at this point? I don't think I watch the Kings this year and just go, like, I don't think this current roster is going to work. But I haven't watched this year and gone, hey, you know what? Domantas Sabonis is not a feasible player. Get him out of here. Zach LaVine, not a feasible player. Get him out of here. Keegan Murray, he sucks. Trade him now. Like that's not my takeaway. My takeaway is, hey, there's some good players here that would be better if the roster got some tweaks.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's, I think, what you're looking at, because you're right. Yeah, you have Domantas Sabonis. That's an all-NBA player. You have that guy on your team. Great. Whatever Keegan Murray is going to become, I think Keegan Murray could be a really good starting player on a team that's contending for a title. Cool. Keep him. If you feel that way about Keon Ellis as starting shooting guard, cool. Keep him. Everything else, and I guess like Zach LaVine, just because he's probably going to be around. But everything else, man, like, yeah, hey, Jake LaRavia, stick around. Like, let's see what happens here. Let's try and take a couple more flyers on first round picks. Maybe instead of drafting guys who are 22 or 23 years old, try drafting some younger players and see if one of those guys takes that Kawhi leap.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not that that's a normal thing, but I'd way rather that than, hey, this guy might be a rotation player. I would way rather be like, yeah, hey, this guy might never be a rotation player, but if he hits his ceiling, he's going to be a 1A. And you got to start throwing darts like that. So I think there's a way you can, I don't want to say do both. 2 timelines is not what you want to do, but I think there are pieces to a potential contender here where I don't think you have to go, all right, eject everything. This all stinks. Scrap it. It's not that dire to me. You have to make some major changes.
Yeah.
But it's not turn into the process 76ers.
Yeah, that, and I would say, like, I always live by the Jerry Reynolds-ism that anyone that tells you they have a 5-year plan in the NBA has no plan at all.
Mm-hmm.
I live by that plan because you have no idea. You have no idea. Like, you drafted De'Aaron Fox with the 5th pick in the 2017 NBA draft. Mm-hmm. You struck out with the 15th pick. You struck out with the 20th pick. The second pick in the second round was Frank Mason. Like, you had all kinds of young players, both the year before and that year. The next year, you thought, okay, the Kings land the number 2 pick in the NBA draft. Then the Kings had this idea that they were they were building their roster. So 3 years down the road, when Fox's contract kicked in, and then 4 years down the road, they would have max money built for both Fox and for Marvin Bagley. Yeah, where did that plan go? Well, that plan didn't work out at all because Marvin Bagley never became Marvin Bagley, the Marvin Bagley that anyone thought he would be in the NBA. I mean, he literally just rolled through Sacramento as a member of the Memphis Grizzlies and was the only player who didn't play in the game for Memphis. So, but the point is, like, you can't build a team expecting the next great thing to walk through the door in the draft 2 years from now. It's just not the way the lottery works. It's just not the way team building works.
Listen to the conversation we're having right now versus what conversation we would have been having at this exact time 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
2 seasons ago. This was like, holy crap, playoff drought over. The Kings are so back. And now we're here in 2 years. And you're talking 5?
You know what they are? They're the high school quarterback. They peaked in high school. We're already on the downs. We're already like 48-year-old dude with a shoulder problem because he was a quarterback.
His Letterman jacket.
Still wears the Letterman jacket. That's where you are right now. So, like, how do you get out of that? And, like, there is a pathway here. There are plenty of ways to get better. And that's where I don't prescribe to, hey, just blow it up and tank. I mean, this team could try for another 10 years to get a player not as good as De'Aaron Fox, as good as Domantas Sabonis.
Sure.
They could try for another 10 years and never get that player again. You don't just give them away because you're bad 1 year.
Now, I will say on that specific case, if somebody's going to give you a really good player and you want to change your team build, okay, then that changes the calculus for me.
Yeah.
But I think if somebody's trading for Domas, they're not trying to give up players, they're trying to give up picks.
Yeah.
And I'm just not punting on that for draft picks at this point.
No,
I can't get there.
You're not punting on draft picks. And the other one I keep hearing is, oh, would you trade Domas for Zion? Man, talk about the biggest, like, gamble of all time. Hey. Like, I get hey, would I trade Zach LaVine for Zion? Yes, I would. Would I trade Domas for Zion?
Man, I'll take the consistency.
Absolutely not. I know I'm getting every single game, and I know what I'm not getting is 30 games played. Yeah. So,
all right. We got to step aside real quick. Final segment coming up. We'll talk about what we're watching this weekend. No Kings tonight, but some games ahead of them and behind them in the standings that'll matter that I'm locking into. I'll watch a ton of NBA today, along with college hoops, of course. Baylor held on to beat Mississippi State.
Oh,
And Alabama trying to pull away from Robert Morris. Robert Morris actually took the lead. 15 seed Robert Morris actually briefly took the lead over Alabama, but Alabama storming back now and is starting to pull away in the closing moments of that one. If anything crazy happens, though, in March Madness, we will have updates for you right here on ESPN 1320. We're the Insiders. Back in a second.
yeah. I mean, again, fans can want to blow it up and all that stuff. And you know, I've heard this so many times. Oh, the Kings never done a true rebuild. Yeah, they did. They fully did a full rebuild in 2016, 2017, 2018. You got one player out of all of that. One dude. Yeah.
Also, man, like, I know it's tough right now, especially given how last night went and how this season's gone. And really, this is, I think, the blow it up stuff is a culmination of the last couple of seasons, and not just a reaction to the loss last night. You want to avoid going back to where the Kings were for 16 years for as long as humanly possible. You don't being.
Oh yeah.
It is so much. Obviously, being in purgatory is not awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to find your way out here over the next couple of years, maybe with a new front office, trying to find your way out of this over the next couple of years is so preferable to being the Jazz, who have won 15 games.
Oh yeah, man.
Because it's not that fun. We can sit here as outside observers of the Washington Wizards and go, man, Jordan Poole kind of figuring it out. Alex Sarr, man, he looks good. Charlotte, Brandon Miller, LaMelo, okay, got some fun little pieces. That's nice to be able to do, like, from afar.
Yeah.
Having to game in and game out, watch a team that's winning 15 games a season.
I'll tell you, man,
is not a fun time at all.
My first, I think it's 9 years, I wrote the best season. I wrote 49 losing game recaps. 49. George Karl year, which is by far one of the most, like, top 3 most dysfunctional seasons in the history of the franchise. They won 33 games. That was the best year I covered in, like, my first 9 or 10. Just brutal. So no, I wouldn't want to go back to that. And I can see a pathway. Whether you can get the deals done or not, I don't know. But I certainly would try. Yeah. So Brandon, this isn't the case though. Every other team can tank and be good in 5 years. It's just not the case. Like, go back and look how many teams it tank and then how good they get and all that stuff. Like, it doesn't typically work that way. The Kings made a huge amount of errors in the 2017 NBA draft. A tremendous amount of errors in that draft. And it's because they let too many people have an opinion on their picks. They should have stayed at number 10 and just drafted Bam Adebayo or Donovan Mitchell. That's where they should have gone. And their plan, they did have a plan that if they missed out on Fox at number 5, that Donovan Mitchell probably would have been in play at number 10. And there was actually a pathway in which Jason Tatum could have fallen to number 5 because he was not a super popular player in that top 5 until the couple of days before the draft. But if you could have walked out of that draft with De'Aaron Fox and Bam, college teammates, a center and a center and a point guard that know how to play together. There are all kinds of things you could have done right there. So, Ellis, it's a good question. We don't probably have time on this break. I'll just say this: like they were so
20 seconds.
Yeah, they were so cash strapped that those decisions, like which haunt the franchise still, those were not all his. They were his as far as who player he took, but he didn't even have a power forward on his roster in the Damian Lillard draft, and so he took Thomas Robinson.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I'll tell you what, if the NBA was ever going to rig another lottery, this is the year to do it. Just make sure Cooper Flagg is not getting to Utah. I need the Jazz to not be rewarded for whatever the hell they're doing this year.
That's it. Like,
just while we're talking tanking.
We talked about the basketball gods the other day, and if they reward them by letting him go to Utah after, why are you messing with OKC benching, sitting 3 players in a home game
that they won,
and you're gonna open an investigation? How about you just just shut down the Utah Jazz and say you don't get to play for another 2 years until you actually.
And also, you pick 30th this year.
Yeah, just bizarre. Why the discrepancies here with how they handle teams.
Very odd. Damian Barling in the building. D'Lo and KC coming up next. What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
When you said you have to evaluate the Kings on a game-by-game basis, you said that after the Memphis game, and since then, they have beat the best team in the NBA and then lost to a team that was 11 games below 500. And I just want you to know that when you're right, you're right. You just
I wish I could create something more compelling to get you to listen for the next 4 hours, but I can't. This is who this basketball team is. It's who they've been all year. It's who they've been for really the last 2 years. A lot of things went the Beam team's way a couple of years ago. 1-score games, De'Aaron closing out, the game winners, all of that stuff. When that stuff stops going your way, it starts to look a little different. And you can't have these big, broad stroke evaluations. And that's why, I can't evaluate the team last night versus the team that played Cleveland. All I can tell you is what I saw last night versus Chicago.
Yeah.
And if you choose to listen for the next 4 hours, great. If you don't, I get it. I don't know. I don't have some compelling hook, some grand thought on what the Kings are. Nope, they lost to Chicago. No one should be surprised by that. No one should be surprised that you beat, the best team in basketball and lose to a team below 500 the next night. We said all day yesterday, the game, the context of last night's game changed. If everyone had said going into the back-to-back, all right, split them. It's what we need to do. Everyone would have thought you lost to Cleveland, you beat Chicago.
Yes.
But when you beat Cleveland, the idea of 1-1 changed.
Yes.
You're not going to be favored now for another 7 days.
Yep.
And that was the last game. You were favored by 6.5 last night. That's not my bag, but I saw it. You were favored by 6.5 last night. And you lost. You were up by 19.
Yeah.
Even when they were shooting the lights out in the first quarter, it was okay, they're not going to do this, but they're in a groove. The ball is moving. I think they feel good. It's fine. It's going to cool down, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And it turns out it wasn't. They survived the second quarter, but then once you got into the third and the fourth and Kobe White and Kevin Huerter beat you up, then that was it.
88-57 over the final 27 minutes and 51 seconds.
Yeah.
Whew.
I'm expecting a lot from you guys today because you're over there looking like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh.
And I'm expecting some
Star Wars.
This is
Thank
not the
you.
Sacramento Kings team you're looking for.
So Obi-Wan Kenobi's a Jedi, and that's something that you can do. They can Jedi mind trick people.
A gray hoodie.
So he just does.
a brown hoodie.
And says they're trying to get these droids into this place, and the stormtroopers stop them. The bad guys stop them, and they're like, "Hey, these are those droids. And he goes, these are not the droids you're looking
These
for.
are not the droids you're looking for.
I knew this was an excessively brown outfit. That's why I tried to dress it up a little bit with the blue underneath and the chain. And
I
guess I missed a little bit.
No, you didn't
No,
miss.
it's not a bad thing.
Still look like the UPS driver.
No,
You said that, not us.
No, I recognize how brown it is. It's okay. I just was going cozy. That's all. It sucks, man. Like it sucks. And now here's the other part of that. It's over. Now you got to play Milwaukee. And you got to beat Milwaukee.
And then you got Boston.
And then if you don't, you got to beat Boston. And then if you don't, you got to beat Oklahoma City. Like, this is the Sacramento Kings this year.
But here's and that's it. And that's why you said like this is bad radio, but we're just gonna pull the curtain all the way back. Like every show, you're supposed to have like a hook. Like, what's the hook? What's hitting you today? What's this?
Yeah.
And you said this is just the Kings, man.
Yeah.
They're just kind of They're about a 9 seed.
You're gonna have to tune in because we're charming, because that's all we got for you.
Guys, that's why you guys are so much fun.
But it's not like there's no. It's just not there, man. Like, it's not there.
Yeah, but this is
we're 16, 15 games left, James, whatever it is.
14.
Like, that's
13.
14.
13.
God damn it. All right. That's all that's left. Like, they've showed us who they are.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now all of a sudden they're going to do something they haven't done all year. Like, no, they're not.
And I think the reason it's frustrating is because if you told me, like, yeah, hey, they went to the playoffs and they gave OKC 6 games, like 6 good games, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But then if you said, hey, I'm for the future, they lost to the Suns in the play-in game, I'd be like, well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're just along for the ride, I guess. The thing that stands out the most to me from last night, that I need to know what the hell's going on with Zach LaVine, man. That's the thing from last night that goes beyond the scope of this year.
I'm going to make a choice to give Zach LaVine some grace.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about that man's personal life.
Totally.
All I know is he didn't show up for a game the night before and showed up the next night. He didn't leave town. I'm just going to give him some grace and assume there might be something going on with Zach, and just wish my brother the best. And, there was a point last night where it was like, man, maybe and maybe there's nothing going on with him. I have no idea. But there also was a moment where it's like, maybe my brother just doesn't look.
Yeah, engaged.
And he started to a little bit in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, okay. But I'm going to choose to bow out of the Zach LaVine. And again, bad radio. I'm bowing out of the Zach LaVine conversation just because I can't get 1 + 1 to add up.
Sure.
He missed the game, and I feel like there's a reason he missed the game. And
we're talking about 2 weeks though of a trend, like a very similar thing where he's just not shooting the ball. Like,
I hear you.
And it's go ahead, sorry.
And I'm also with you because I've always said, like, hey, personal issues are personal issues. I'm not gonna dive in.
Mm-hmm.
And if I know, like, even when I know someone's wife is pregnant, if they're out for 2 games, unless they literally tell us, hey, it's baby time, or they put something out, like, bad things happen to people all the time. And we see it all the time at Javarius Ward. Like, there's so many bad things that can happen to people. So I'm always very cautious on that too. As a basketball player, though, the trend that we saw last night was something that we have seen for the last couple of weeks. And that's the only where
I hear you.
The greater question,
and sorry, go ahead.
The greater question for me is less, because I'm with you, and we've talked about that today, is like the reason for it. If it's off court, then but is there something like fundamentally wrong with how the Kings are doing this? Because what Doug Christie mentioned last night was basically like, yeah, Zach's not shooting enough because we're not getting through our progressions on offense. And it's like, I'm sorry, what? He's a progression? Like, no, he's the dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's get him the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't understand why Doug said that. Like, because it not I mean, Doug's the coach. Like, he knows what's going on. Like, it flies a little bit in the face of what Zach LaVine said. What Malik Monk said about Zach LaVine was, sometimes we got to get Zach to be a little uncomfortable. He's got to take the shots that maybe he's not comfortable with, meaning he's got to be a little bit more aggressive. And, You don't have to do it. Doesn't have to be the perfect shot every time. It's like a photographer. A great photographer would tell you they're going to take pictures. They're going to take 100 of them. You might dump 90 of them, but you're going to get one.
Yeah.
And they're going to find the perfect shot. It's not holding off on everything until you find the perfect shot. It's I'm going to snap these pictures and it'll be there. I know it'll be there. I trust my instinct for it to be there. But it feels like Zach has taken the approach to where the shot and this was something KC laid out, and it was something that I think was confirmed by Malik Monk last night. He's going to take the perfect shot. And sometimes you can't do that. Not when you're an offensive guy like he is. You can't wait for the perfect shot.
Yeah.
You go create.
No doubt.
Your score.
Creating is what you and KC are going to do today.
We are.
On D-Lo and KC. That's coming up noon to 4. For James Ham and Joe Brazil, I'm Kyle Madsen. We've been the Insiders. We're done for the week. We'll be back on Monday.
Yes.
Why was that? Is that the start of the week?
Sure, it is.
At the start of the week,
to
Monday?
the best of my knowledge.
Okay, great. We're going to be back Monday at 10 a.m.
Unless there's been another executive order signed, but I can't imagine that. Probably start the work week on Sunday. You guys get too many days off as it is. Never mind. Just go to commercial, man.
All right. Very good. Drink water. Be nice to people. We're the Insiders. See you.